she looks familiar.
That's okay. Ask questions. Hi.
Oh yes, yeah. Don't worry, there's a lot going on. Yeah.
It's okay. So I apologize if you hear some things the second time because you talked with us. Uh, okay. It's great. We're just waiting for a moment. I think there's a few more coming, and they need to give me some new batteries. So yeah.
Grab that pack out.
Do you want to pack that? Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not happy.
There we go. That should be
Wonderful.
fine.
Thank you so much. Okay, and how do I move this one? I'm sorry. I'm a bit illiterate on this one. I'm so backward
So it's
trained.
just with the arrows backwards
Just with
and
the arrows.
forwards.
Okay. Oh, that's so easy.
Good to go.
Excellent. Yes, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you, no problem.
That's fantastic. That's great. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you. I just might say hi first. It's only a few of us here. I'm Susanne. What's your name? Oh, sorry. I come back to you. I be kind. that's not nice, isn't it? The moment. Yes, the very moment. So yeah, I've met you, but names are not my strong.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff. And Rachel. Oh, that's easy to remember, like my daughter. And what's your little one's name again?
Brian.
Brian. Great. Fantastic. And you got a drawing pad. That's very good.
I'm ready now.
You're ready now, okay?
Yeah, I've just been in back-to-back sessions.
Yes.
I'm Danny. I've
Hi,
got
Danny.
an almost 3-year-old little boy,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to get ideas of what my
Yes.
options are for schooling, and
Fantastic.
drawn towards homeschooling,
Yes.
especially because there's no like local Steiner school or anything
Yes,
like that
yeah.
in my area, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to take
Yeah.
responsibility for that. Make it
Wonderful.
happen.
Yeah, this is the great place, isn't it? You can just find out, ask questions, and walk away and think. Yes. That's fantastic. Great. And hi. Yes.
Hi, I missed the question.
Oh, I'm just thought we introduce ourselves and just, yes, I also know a little bit then, like, what ages your children are at, and
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Nick, 3 children under 5, 4 on the way.
Okay, fantastic, congratulations. So you're looking at homeschooling, starting homeschooling as well?
Yeah, my wife knows more about it. I'm probably come to learn.
That's
Well,
that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. And that's how it works. One has more time to research. We did the same before we started homeschooling. So I've been homeschooling I'm not homeschooling anymore. All my children are grown up. We homeschooled for 20 years. And yeah, and the majority of the research before we started, that was me, just because I had the time. And yeah, no, that's totally common. Yes. Hi.
Hi, my name's Rose.
Hi, Rose.
We are not homeschooling yet, just
Yes.
looking and researching. I have a 10-year-old, a 10, 9, and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
So they're all in school.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so just wanting to see what,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
information.
Huge
Gathering,
decision.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exciting time, but huge decision. Yes, fantastic. That's great. Fantastic, lovely. And you belong together?
AJ and Julie, yes.
Yes.
Our son Alex,
Hi, Alex.
He's doing his first year of homeschooling, third place.
Fantastic, awesome. And how are you finding it?
My wife is the heavy lifter. But it's an experience. It's been
Yes.
an experience, but a good one.
That's fantastic. Awesome, that is great. Yes, so I homeschooled myself. So my name is Susanne McQueen, and I homeschooled my children for 20 years. And they're all adults now. I have a beautiful little granddaughter. And so, yeah, so we started homeschooling from the beginning ourselves, but one of our children actually went to school for a term and a half. So that's where I experienced the pull of I know it's better, but it's hard to pull them out. That decision is a really, really big decision to make. But yeah, we basically started homeschooling because I was working in the education system, and coming from Europe, our children, they, like in Germany where I grew up, like, you know, little preppies, they go home at lunchtime. And I worked in a school and I saw tired children, and I went, I want more for my kids. So that was my first introduction to actually thinking about homeschooling. And then I started researching and met people. And then my oldest one was quite advanced, so he started reading well before school age. And I kind of found myself in the situation where I went, okay, now I really need to make a decision. And it was actually the principal of the school where I used to work who said to me, I think you should homeschool. And I went, okay, yes, I do it. And my husband said, let's homeschool for 2 years. I went, okay, let's do 2 years. And out of 2 years came 20. So yes, so it was a really great experience, and I loved it. I'm very passionate about it. And I'm very passionate about literacy in general, because communication is so important. As we know, you know, it's like it affects every aspect of our lives. And the beautiful thing is that when we take the time to talk and to reason and to discuss, we just develop such a richness in our children's thinking and then the way to express it. And so we all are different. Our children are all different. Like I found with homeschooling, I have 3 children, all very, very different. So my oldest one, highly gifted. My job was kind of like keeping up and going, what do I introduce next? You know, then I have one also very bright, but dyslexia and dysgraphia. So we had to work our way around that and kind of go like, okay, how can I give you what you need and teach you like in an extra way? So it was a big opportunity for me to learn to view education differently. And then I have one very arty. And so, yeah, so 3 children, totally 3, in many ways, 3 different curriculums. What was challenging, because when I started out, I went, oh, I buy one curriculum and we will use it. No, that did not work. So yes, so saying that is that I just feel like we need to give our children wings no matter where they are and no matter what their personality is. And no matter what, oh, sorry, this is, I'm used to, okay, that's the first one, sorry, that's the second one. Okay, yeah, so no matter where they are and no matter what challenges, but also what exciting opportunities are ahead of them. So, and I think it always flows together. Let's think about it, life is messy. Life is not straightforward, and we are all individuals. And so I see us, even as parents, we are a piece of the puzzle in our children's lives. Right? Because we have that opportunity and we can be the biggest influence in their lives during that time of home educating. Why? Why did I name it about the art of the art of communication? Why is it the greatest gifts? Because no matter where our children are, no matter if they study, if they work, relationships, everything is affected by communication. So, and often we separate communicating verbally from communicating in a written way, but it actually flows together, because I can only write what's in my head. I can only write what I think. It's intricately connected. But how do I actually, sorry, I'm a Mac girl, and this one is Windows, and I want to scroll, and I can't scroll. Okay. So the question is, how do we actually do that? And just a few things that I did with my children is, one of the aspects was to give them the experience of knowledge, talking about everyday occurrences, reading. Like we ended up with a library at home because we just got so many books together. But I personally find that when we give our children the gift of reading as it's a memory issue actually. If you think about it, if our children get read to by us, that's a really big thing, reading aloud to them and snuggling up on the couch and having a blanket, right? That is something that is positive memories. So reading all of a sudden becomes something where they go, oh, that's nice, it feels nice. They might not know why, but you know, it brings that memory. Oh, I remember like in winter, everybody having a blanket and you have a hot cuppa next to you and everybody just reads quietly in the room and then you share something and that's life. It's like exchanging. So reading is an incredible gift that we can give to our children, and I personally scanned every book that my kids read. So I got to read some really fantastic literacy, and some series my children ended up because I read the first book and I thought we needed them all. And then some of them they really loved, and some of them I probably loved more than they did, but that's okay. So they all really became readers, and all of them have their own bookshelves. I mean, and it's actually really interesting because my oldest son now lives in the States, and a lot of his luggage was books. So books and games. That was one of the big things that he took with him. So what are we developing in our children? Is knowledge, is also attentive listening. If you think about communication, has to do with listening. And listening is not just words, listening is the tone. Listening is the innuendo that's behind it. Listening is the feeling that comes with it, and we want our children to think critically. And part of that is understanding the language that the world speaks around them. And so one of the things that we did, especially for your education, I felt really passionate about empowering my children to think deeply and to form their own decisions, critical thinking and evaluating, and then writing that in a way or expressing it in a way that's still respectful without losing your voice. It's very, very important to realizing that each one of our children has a voice, and part of what I saw as a parent and what I feel as an educator is to empower children to use that voice and go, that is great, that is fantastic, how can we express that? And it's even when we talk about writing, it's more than facts. I mean, they are not encyclopedias, right? I mean, some people love encyclopedias. I personally need feeling in what I read. And so writing has to do with expressing that feeling. Writing has to do with richness. And by giving our children wings to actually express that, they can find themselves in many different situations in life, and they can read the room. They can sense what's going on because they have learned to not just listen to words, they learn to listen to what's going on behind it, but they're also able to communicate in that way and go, okay, I can read that situation. This is how I can respond. Now, one of the main things that I think is important to give our children to empower them is confidence. And confidence is established by a step-by-step approach, because if you think about it, as a society, we are very output-orientated. But output comes from input. And so often we have that picture of show me what you can do, show me what you know. What about if pouring in and say, let me teach you, let me fill that bucket, so to speak, because eventually it will overflow, and every child and every person wants to communicate what they know. That's just naturally given to us. So changing our perspective from output to input orientated is something that I found was a really valuable key, and especially also when we have children who are struggling in some aspects and they might compare themselves with others, just praising them for the little things and go, I hear you and I hear what you want to communicate, and that is great. We can do it in a different way. And part of that is to inspiring our children and to hold their hand and then to let go. And letting go is sometimes trickier than holding their hands. So how can we literally help them to fly? So I already said about instilling that love for literacy, reading books aloud, reading books ourselves to create that atmosphere. And it's really funny, we started at a very young age with books. And I remember we had to drive somewhere every week, and we literally had 2 boxes next to our oldest son, he was around 18 months at the time. There was a box full of books on one side, and there was an empty box on the other side. And while we were driving, at the beginning, he would pick one up, look at it, plop it in there, and by the time we arrived everywhere, one side was empty, the other side was full. Over time, less and less books actually came across. Why? Because he learned to focus on it, and he learned to take in the little messages that are there. There were hardcover books at that time, but it really cultivated that love for reading in him and then in our other children as well. Or it's so funny, when our children did potty training, there were books around, and today my granddaughter does the same. I got a picture of her, she's just at that age, she's 2, and books, and I went, it's just being passed on. Even in the morning, it's great, you want to have a little sleep in, just give them books. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is sometimes we can't read ourselves all the time. Try to get audiobooks. LibriVox is a fantastic resource. They are free. They have all the classics because they are not under copyright anymore, and you can just download them.
Sorry, what's it called?
LibriVox. LibriVox, yeah. So, and a lot of the subscriptions that you pay for today, they actually get them from LibriVox. Yeah. Yes. So, okay. So when we look at writing as an extension from reading and speaking, and I already touched on, it's observing language, it's input orientated, it's talking, it's creating stories, even things to develop it. Like I remember being in the car, and one started off a story, and then the next child brought another part to it, and then the next person. Make fun, lots and lots of fun about literacy really helps children. Sometimes we see something too serious, and we go, we need to drill them or we need to teach those skills. But let's have fun, let's be creative, because the biggest gift we can give them is a positive feeling towards it and going, yes, I can do it, and I have good memories around it. Like being at the end of homeschooling and having all adult children now, one of the things that I learned that's probably a treasure for my own heart and that I'm happy to pass on is keep your children's heart. No learning is worth it, no struggle is worth it to lose their heart over it. Relationship and keeping their heart will keep those doors open. And part of that is fun, and sometimes just taking a step back and go, okay, let's just chill. Let's just have time together, and then working on that. So when we look at literacy, sorry, I'm going next step. Who's pressing on that and that's my, okay, next one here. Okay, so this is a very quick exercise who shows you how you can actually work on expanding sentences. So when we have a look at the first sentence, it says, the girl went to the shop. Perfect sentence, right? We all know what the girl did and where the girl went. If we have a look how she did it, so you can see that these words are in green because in our curriculum, all our verbs are green. And the reason for that is that all our parts of speech are colored, all our stylistic techniques have a way of being, sorry, I just lost it. They have a certain marking system, and the reason for it is that when children write, and sometimes we all know that you can write a really great story, or you write a great piece, and then the next time it's not that fantastic. And you go, but why? I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that. So what we do, we actually put stylistic techniques into the homework of our students on purpose. So for example, just here, so we have all those different verbs like ran, she meandered, wandered, strolled, sauntered, marched, sprinted. Who? She was young, she was tired, inquisitive, eager, or determined. Where? To the lolly shop, to the toy shop, to the bookshop, to the general store. So if you think about it, out of one very simple sentence, you can actually bring across two totally different feelings. The first one is the tired young girl meandered to the nearby playground. Actually, I changed it to playground. My apologies. I wrote that last night, these sentences. Or you could say to the shop. So she was young, she was tired, she was meandering. There was no urgency in her step. The excited girl sprinted eagerly to the adventure playground. We already have a picture. One was tired, so she walked slowly. The other one was excited, so she sprinted, and she was really eager. So can you see just a few little words can change the whole meaning and the whole feeling of a sentence. And that is what rich language does, but that's also what's called a writer's voice. And a writer's voice is one that expresses so much more than just affect. So each one of our children is unique, their personality, their interests, their passions, a diverse range of needs, as we talked about before. They need different levels of support, and support is not just where they're struggling. Support is also where they're racing ahead, and we need to make sure that there's no holes developing. So that is on the other side. You know, some are kids that just want to rush ahead, and of course we want to let them grow and let them fly and support them. But as parents, we can keep an eye and go, okay, how can we make sure that later on we don't have to backpedal, because that is very disheartening. And then every child grows at their own pace. There is no rush. As I said, I had a child who started reading at 2. I had one who started reading at 9. Did it matter? No, in the end it doesn't, because they all have different strengths and they're all fine as adults. And so, yeah. So we also have different learning styles. We have visual learners, we have auditory learners, and kinesthetic and tactile learners, and those who love reading and writing. So the reading and writing learners, you can give them huge amounts of text. They will not shy away. They are the ones who will eat up encyclopedias. Yeah, it doesn't matter what's in there, they just absorb it. If you have the tactile learners, the kinesthetic learners, they will get easily distracted. They will fidget around, they will doodle, yeah, while you teach them. And the auditory learners, they need to hear it. So they need to speak it, they need you reading to them. So that's where reading out loud really comes in, and it really fills the tank. And then of course you have the visual learners, and they need pictures, they need, yeah. So, and often there is like, children are not just one kind of learners, there's often that crossover, but it's important to know about it. So when we developed our curriculum, as I said, I had all different kinds of students, children, and so I actually didn't even think about it, to be honest. I can't take credit for it, but 2 years ago, we actually looked at our curriculum from that perspective, because I was running a workshop for some teachers, so I had a look at it. And so we actually realized that our curriculum caters to each one of these different learning styles. So if you think about it, so the visual learners, we have pictures that draws their attention, and it's colorful. And we also have, in the younger ages, we have little characters who lead them through. And then we always read together the text. And when you do it at home, when you read something, read it out loud and then discuss it, because the auditory learner, if they just read it quietly, they will not understand the text. Like the comprehension level will be different if they read it quietly or if they hear it. And of course discussing. Discussing is so important, and that's not just what is the fact. Why do you think that? Why do you think that happened? right? What do you think the outcome of it is? So ask deeper questions to give your children the opportunity to think deeply. And that's actually a skill that they will need as they grow older. And it seems a very natural skill, but I have many high school students, like I teach homeschoolers and students from private schools and students from public schools as well. And many high school students have not learned the deeper level thinking, where they can ask questions and then ask a question again and another question again. So we actually get down to the nitty-gritty. So asking questions is really, really important, and discussing. And then of course the kinesthetic learners, and then we also, the reading and writing has the text there. Then a clear structure is really important. So after teaching writing for quite a long time, and I had some students who were including my own children, who were very good writers, and I looked at it and I went, something is missing. And so I went, what's missing is you write beautifully, but there is not the depth. For depth, we need structure. So there is no way around not having structure. So this is, we call it the traffic light structure. So you have the topic sentence is that I take you on a journey. In my paragraph, this is where I lead you. And then we have a star point, what's one aspect of the journey. And then I stop and I explain. The reason being is if we don't have that explanation, that stopping, then we sound like an encyclopedia who gives you one fact after another. But there's no flow, there is just information. Information is great, but flow is what makes it sink in. And so we do that a few times, and then I link back. And so my topic sentence and my linking back sentence, it's almost like you package a paragraph. I tell you where we're going, and at the end, let's come back and I remind you what the essence of my paragraph is about. And so again, with the colors, it's very clear for the visual learner. They can see it. The kinesthetic learner, because we actually use the colors to write as well. So in our writing classes, we have colored highlighters, we have colored erasable pens, because young children love color, so they love being able to change it constantly. And the older ones as well, it just makes it sink in. And so we always discuss, so everything is discussed and talked about. Then we plan, so our structure and planning, so you can see it follows the same format. So T is for topic sentence, first star point. Then I have my evidence, exclamation evidence, my second star point, again, evidence, and then I link back. And so we actually plan, and I would encourage you to do that with your children, get them to planning keywords. The reason being is if children plan in a written sentence, that sentence sticks in their mind because they already have worked out a sentence. So why would my brain think about that sentence in a different way? Where if I have key information on there, then I can make anything out of that sentence. And so what I say to my students is write something down that gives you the essence, and then you work on from there. And so again, so that's our structure. Then brainstorming is really important because that's where the richer language comes in. So for this lesson, we looked at verbs, and so we got, okay, what else can I say instead of they lived, they dwelt there, like instead of show, it highlights, they exhibit, instead of find, they searched, they explored. So can you see, again, it just adds richness in there. And then this is one of our sentence starters, so it's a subject opener. What we would think would be very simple because it's a subject, but children often do not know what is the subject of a sentence. So again, we're marking it, and then we always have vocabulary words. So when you work with your children, give them opportunities to enrich their language with whatever they do. And then here we have again the concepts. So for the grammar, we have the same colors all the time, and then they mark their text accordingly to it. And then this is our assignments instructions. And again, you see the colors, it's very clear, it's a step by step. That's also where, for me, and I think for anybody who writes, I think it's really important that we don't just write something and that's it, and we walk away. It's important to go back to it and to look at it the next day with fresh eyes, because what seems very logical at that very point, tomorrow might not be as logical. So it's like, so it's important to give children the time to overwork what they have already done. And so we actually don't ask our students to put all the stylistic techniques in at one stage, all at the same time. So what we go is do a brain dump. Whatever is on your planning sheet, just write it down, just do a brain dump and walk away, because you don't want long drawn out lessons or long drawn out homework. Then you go back and then you adjust it. And then from here, we have our checklists. And the checklists are really good. They are a pain, I tell you honestly. Students don't like them. But after a while, they get to appreciate them, because what happens is it gives them a guideline. And so stylistic techniques don't just happen in a writing piece. You need to put them in on purpose, and so they need to color code them and they need to put them in. So this is one of the first lessons for that class. We have lots of different classes, so we start off mainly with year 1, 2s, and then we go up to just before university, where we just had one of our older classes. They just did a semester on learning from the masters. So we studied all kind of different authors, from Dickens to Clancy to Agatha Christie, and we said, okay, what makes their writing so amazing, and what aspects do they use? And then the students actually wrote a piece in that particular author's writing style. And then the second semester, they wrote a short story. So we did that. So this is our ancient history program. We also have one for older students where it's all based on science. So we are exploring inventions, and we have a mock Shark Tank and things like that. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. Let me just open up for questions. Do you have any questions? No? That's fine. That's great. Yeah, it's one of our students. Yeah, so, yes. How are you finding writing with your children? And communicating, how do does that work? Yep, any? Huh, pardon me?
I said we haven't started. We haven't started yet.
You haven't started yet? Yeah, you're still, yes. Your husband mentioned that. Yes, it's a big decision. Yeah, that's great. Why are you looking at homeschooling?
I don't really have a lot of faith in the Australian curriculum, and I don't like all of the, I don't know how to say this in public, I don't like all of the woke stuff in schools, and I want to choose what I teach my children.
Yeah,
I want them to be able to have a childhood.
yeah.
as well.
That's like most homeschooling parents. I think you're in good company because it's a big decision to pull them out. So I think, so much thought goes in it, and a lot of weighing up, and it can be nerve-wracking, but it's, I mean, I'm very passionate about it, so yes, but I think it's fantastic, I remember with my husband, as I said before, I did a lot of the research. And he was like, I think it's good, I don't know. And then I read one sentence. And so ladies, or whoever researches, keep feeding that the little information. And I read somewhere, and it said that a teacher spends a maximum of 7 minutes a day with a child or with a student one-on-one. And my husband said to me, is that right? And I said, that's a good day. You do not get 7 minutes with every student one-on-one. And for my husband, that was it. He went, okay, we're homeschooling. So yeah, you know, but every family is differently. But yeah, researching certainly, yeah, it's good. And it's good to go back and forth. To go, we will, we won't. That's okay, it's fine. But yeah, all the best with it. Yes, that's great. Is there any questions besides literacy you have questions about or?
How well does your system work with dysgraphia?
Dysgraphia is more math.
That's dyscalculia.
Oh, dyscalculia, sorry, you can tell my mind, with dysgraphia. Okay, yes, so one of the skills that I used with my child is actually them dictating me the text. Because for a long time, I felt that like the process of having to write it was too much. But my philosophy is if it's in the brain and it comes out and I start to organize those thoughts, that is really the big thing. So I made that child, and then later on my younger one as well, I made them dictate it, or I said to them, you know, and we often threw sentences back and forth and then found one that they like, and then they dictated it and I wrote it down, and then they would put in the extra stylistic techniques. And then over time, we would probably do like 2/3 of it, and I would go, oh, I have to do something, do you want to write? And they would go, no, I'm fine, I'm finishing it. And then so over time, they actually gained the confidence. And because it was typing, what works well with dysgraphia, it was fine. Yeah.
Just trying to get them engaged at the moment is very difficult.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. It's really giving them the confidence that they know it. Because knowing it and getting it down on paper is, you know what I mean? It's so related, but we don't want to discourage them just because it doesn't land on the paper that way, especially with dysgraphia and dyslexia. And that's why typing is good, because, you know, you have the spell check as well. And yeah, yeah.
We've even worked down Mark getting a speech-to-text software, but he doesn't really like to use that, so.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you know, the interesting thing is that over time, they do develop an eye for what looks right. And so that's, I think, when the speech-to-text comes in, like reading, still reading a lot is important, and developing an eye what looks right, even if they, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, thank you too.
I missed the start, but are you mostly online or do you take?
We are face-to-face in Victoria.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, but we are online here. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
I have a budding writer.
Pardon me?
I have a budding writer who
Yes.
loves to get her ideas down, but
Yes.
yeah, definitely not into the structure or anything yet. She's only in kinder, so
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Lots of, yes, little stories and drawing pictures. Yeah, no.
but it would be lovely to have a
Yeah.
bit of extra support, so it's good to know. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
Feel free to go downstairs and pick up one of the leaflets when you're
The,
ready.
and then just
Yeah,
arrive, so yeah.
we are down on the ground floor.
Beautiful. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you
Lovely.
too.
Thanks.